Okay, I feel like I'm on right now for sure. Okay, yeah. So we're here. I got some things that I'm about to pull up. Yeah, perfect. Greetings to all. This is, what am I doing? There we go. Greetings to all. Got another great message. Y'all bear with me. Trying to make this smaller. Come on. There we go. That's not as small as I really wanted. Greetings to all. Greetings to all. Let's give out to the source of the creator for making all this possible today in this moment. Let's give honor to our ancestors known and unknown, because they are just as a part of this great transfer of wealth, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and so forth. And yeah, again, this ties into even I've spoken about. Shout out to the artist behind me. This artist is Lachey Boyd. So let's get that in there while we can. Lachey Boyd. So yeah, that's a great. So let's see here. Y'all bear with me. I should have got some tea or something. Didn't bring my water, but anywho, let me dive right into this. I got this gum in my mouth. It's so good, but if you've been following me, I think this is like part 4, I believe, of the greatest transfer or grandest transfer right now in the universe, in the world, as they say. Which I see an emphasis on more focusing on the physical aspect, but me, I'm leaning more into the spiritual aspect. If you've been following me, you know that I speak about how a lot of my message is to make you be an independent thinker, make you not make you, but guide you into in your own world of becoming an independent thinker, self-sufficient, self-reliant, recognizing the source, the creator, the voice that is aligned with who you are inside, with your essence, and coming home to yourself. So that being said, a lot of the things that I do discuss comes from my own personal experiences, most of, if not 99%, or speak from things that I have experienced with other people. But again, but a lot of things definitely come from my own personal experiences. So if you have been following me, if you haven't, that's fine, because I'm going to talk about a lot of things that you're probably experiencing right now. A lot of things collectively we are experiencing. How could I get this out of the way? No. Because this is very great information. Like, I'm one person, I guess you could say I'm like one of those hidden nerds or geniuses that kind of knows my place. And I pop out every now and then and so forth. So again, if you've been following me, I've been expressing how, for those of you that are, matter of fact, I can pull it up here, millenniums, I don't know, which are born from the 1980s to 1996, I believe. So the reason why this is so vital right now is because I'm speaking about the elders, and this is not at all to devalue the elders, those that came before us, because knowledge and wisdom has been passed on even through, our unconscious, collective non-awareness of self, or even our own patterns. So a lot of how generational trauma can be broken is when we become aware of it. My sinuses is still, getting this out, so y'all, I don't mind. it's always good when it's coming out. I mean, it's leaving the body. I don't have no mirror. So anywho, yeah, I don't know, cause got someone coming right here. I'm like, I reserved this room. Yeah, matter of fact, let me look into that, because I don't have time for the shenanigans right now. Let's see here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Just making sure. Study room 4, correct. So, anywho, you know, I'm so sensitive about stuff. I'm like, dang, I'm screen recording. They can see this, or screencast or whatever. Anywho, hey, it is what it is. What I am noticing, I came across a video was it last night before I rested, and it was talking about how, I don't know how true this is, but I'm definitely recognizing within myself. When you are used to having a dysregulated nervous system because your body has tried to protect you from, well, you know what, this ties into this. When your body has tried to protect you for so many years in survival, and then when you learn to rest, or you finally find that peace, all of, like, your body responds, your body reacts. And I've noticed that, because I've upon this healing journey, I've noticed like a shift in, as soon as I acknowledge something, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, mentally, that energy, if you've been following me or listening, or, you know, I would recommend The Body Keeps the Score of the book, is that our body has kept the score of all those survival tactics, all of those things that we can no longer hide. And the reason why this is so vital, because the video was, you know, it was very interesting. And you know what, actually, I can bring this on here, I feel like, yeah, because it kind of ties into, I don't even know sound could play, kind of ties into, one thing I do, I don't know if you do this, I send myself messages. You know what, I did not send it to myself, but I'm not even mad, so let's just exit out of that. But usually I send messages to myself, but it was just speaking about how the body, when it again learns how to rest again or regulate, and then these signs or symptoms come up, and what the doctor or sister was mentioning, that it's not that your body is becoming weak or attacking itself. It has tried to be strong and protect for so long that when you learn how to rest, it's like you finally feeling the aches. It's just like, as I've said before about our mothers and our great grandmothers and grandfathers and so forth, where I'm going to get into who, from the patriarchal aspect, a lot of these people here, which is so great, here actually, a lot of the boomers, their trauma was here related to, let me make sure I don't exit, this right here, intergenerational trauma. This is so big, y'all, meaning like internal, I'm assuming, but intergenerational trauma. Many baby boomers' parents experienced the Great Depression and World War II, potentially leaving them with unresolved trauma. So again, them never resting correctly, never listening to their bodies, never having the opportunity to sit down. And I'm actually speaking to someone about this, and you know, before I get into the whole miscommunication around just our generation and even the generation after us, what they call Gen Z or whatever, is the fact of, by them never having to rest, and I'm still seeing current day, most of these people who are from the 1946 to 64, and this is what ages, I want to say 45 to 79 or something like that, or something like that, or is it 60 something? Either way, whatever that age gap is, you do the math. A lot of them that are baby boomers or boomers, a lot of them are either, I feel like baby boomers are on their parents experienced, it said, like the Depression in World War II. And it also speaks about how they developed this PTSD. If you're not familiar with PTSD, I also have to look it up again too. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So this right here, you know, if you want to pause it and read it, or even research it yourself, let me tell you something. Key symptoms of PTSD: intrusion symptoms, flashback nightmares, intrusive thoughts about traumatic events. So when we're talking about a dysregulated nervous system and people never processing the event, never truly processing the emotion, the memory, the unresolved trauma, the unresolved memories and emotions around what they experienced, whether through said war, whether through said disconnect from their land, disconnect from their families, and so forth. And that ties into what patriarchally, again, when you had men go to wars fighting for something, and I used to sit back and tell myself this, because I know it ruffled a lot of feathers, but again, I'm entitled to my own perspective, and you know, and my authenticity is just what it is. Well, you know, when I look at the climate, the collective of how warlike behavior, which can be described spiritually as a distorted masculine, or a distorted, not actually distorted, a wounded masculinity displayed from both men and women. With that being said, you know, the military aspect, the military mind, or the military or the warlike aspect, animalistic aspect or behavior, the rage, so forth, from whether it's conquering another place or warlike behavior, how people came into certain areas and you know, destroyed or dismantled or violently made their way through things, however and wherever, you know, they did it. Again, these things don't go away. And also, like, you know, I'm reflecting on how you will see so much of an emphasis on society or the old world norm on how we push and praise people, or put people who are violently on a pedestal, or who have unresolved things, and place them in positions where there's no compassion. And the reason I say that, because I'm sure people could say the same about me when it came to my transition of evolution of, you know, what I went through with what I'm acknowledging now, which is so amazing because I can relate, again, my own experience. But having going through and being from those very baby boomers or that generation, I too didn't even recognize that rage that probably my grandfather, great-grandfather, or great-grandmother that I knew nothing about, a lot of people, or, you know, generations who most likely have had repressed memories and emotions through the wounds of, you know, the grandmother and mother, you know, that brought me here. But again, due to those cycles of whether self-abuse or abuse, me connecting and correlating that to the fact of why people behavior patterns are the way they are, and also why you know, it never made sense to me to see how in a country or other places where they prioritize the violence and the wars and so forth, and then literally give this false empowerment behind those very people on how they, you know, don't tell the whole narrative of how they went into places allegedly and, you know, for resources. Like, we know, a lot of us know, you know, and then we're told to force, or almost like forcefully passive aggressively push that shit aside and not honor our feelings and emotions. And as you see here, these symptoms of what a lot of your grandparents and great grandparents who experience or have PTSD, what happens in their bodies, what happens when, again, where we push away the prioritizing and protecting children and mothers, and then elevate out of stupidity and ignorance men who have this mother wound, and place them in positions where they have no fucking compassion for a mother and or children. And so the confusion around how distorted the patriarchal has been, and also how the wounded masculine has been through these repetitive cycles for years, if not hundreds of years, or even in the last couple hundred years, of how you place an image of a person in certain areas, and they get to display their passive aggressiveness towards people who maybe don't look like them, and then they hold all this rage, and not to mention they host all of this, again, these intrusive thoughts, traumatic events that are repressed or suppressing through their career and status, and have just the okay to just project it onto everyone. And this is what you see in your systems, this is what you see in your policing, this is what you see in your corporations. And it can no longer be hidden, because when you look at the political, when you look at the climate of who's representing us as millenniums, as humanity, these are people who, it's so obvious, have mental disorders. These are elders. These are people who are on their last leg, who are of that baby boomer generation, who are still trying to implement and force feed us their narratives, their traumas, their unresolved traumas. Let's dive a little deeper. So, if you want to look into this even more about a lot, why you will, it's even funny, because I'll tell you from experience where I know personally some elders who roam the streets. It's different. They roam the streets all day. You got some who will brag and boast so much about their military or their rank or whatever it is, but you never hear the truth into depths about where they went and who they harmed, the innocence of that. But yet it's so proud. They so proudly and boastfully and egotistically talk about how much they fought for a country, and all I see is wounded men who come back or return and see a country who failed them miserably to even support them through their mental disorder or their dysregulated nervous system. They feed them medication. I've seen veterans who are desperately trying to not crash out, if y'all don't know that term for you elders, but desperately not trying to lose it, and they have to be on meds because they're having fucking night terrors or nightmares and intrusive thoughts, and they, from this traumatic experience of what they've experienced in another country. So a lot of people out here, they never have gotten their father back. The dad that was normal, the dad that was more compassionate, never got him back 20, 30, 40 years ago. And some of these elders there are looking like exactly the conflict avoidance, the passive aggressiveness, what else? All these things you see listed here, they're looking like it. No matter how much they hide behind the status, no matter how much they hide behind the house, the material things, and and so forth. And the reason why I so boldly talk about this shit, because my ancestors, everyone's ancestors did not take part in that spiritual war, that we know of, but also that physical war that we knew that was not ours. We knew that that was not a part of what we came here to be a part of, which a lot of people wanted to unify, but there was so much of greed and selfishness and self-righteousness of people wanting to be so power driven, and their only way to be that, or to be engulfed in that, was to divide the people that once at a point in time live amongst each other. So again, a lot of your grandfathers and great grandmothers and all of them, a lot of people who were a part of these experiences, a lot of them was forced into warfare that wasn't even theirs, and due to a lot of fear mongering or whatever it is that they could not, some of them had to make a sacrifice to protect their tribe. Let's talk about it. A lot of people that were never here, that migrated here, were you can say intruders. You can say they came forcefully to, because they knew their ancestors knew that this was, they called the promised land. They knew that their ancestors or their future generations will have a better experience in these said lands. That's what's not talked about. A lot of people who migrated here knew that they would have a better and more prosperous experience. So however they had to get here, they did it. And so even ancestrally, we're also diving deeper into, y'all may call it the slave trade, or people being held in captivity and so forth. This has happened for eons. This has happened for hundreds of years from different shades of people. It's more importantly, when we dive deeper into a war, if there even was a war, so many things that were created. And when I say even, I know that will ruffle a lot of people's feathers. It's the fact of everyone wasn't at war. Just like now, I'm not at war with nobody, because I'm recognizing that what I don't give my energy to, I'm not at war with. And then I decided not to give my power to, because that reality is not mine. With the race baiting and the race war and so forth, and the bigger picture of seeing like, this is why certain things want to pull people back into that energy of division, and that's not what I'm here to do. And so I'm recognizing how a lot of people, when you recognize this right here in this totality, a lot of these elders, a lot of people are at war with themselves. So their miscommunication or their misunderstanding or overstanding of the generation like myself and those who come after has a lot to do with their own internal warfare and spiritual warfare of unresolved shit. So that's why a lot of them want our lives to be, I know a lot of people can relate to this, they want your life to be just as harder or as difficult as theirs was. And what they don't realize is that when you're dealing with energy, we too have to deal with things completely different. That's the transfer of wealth. That's the transfer. What they're not getting, that you still transfer your fucking unresolved emotion. We still receive that. We're just now choosing to resolve it, which we don't complain about. That's what a lot of these elders, I don't care what status they are, we're shifting a whole awareness and consciousness around. When we're talking about well-being is not going to consist of certain things religiously that we were force-fed, because if I'm going to therapy, that religious figure is not there. I maybe need one-on-one. When I'm dealing with certain things, prioritizing my well-being, I may do it in a different way. And that's what you're seeing now. So, I was also telling my partner about like, even the reason why I see why some of these elders are so selfish with certain things is because a lot of their experiences, and I told you it's almost through a confusion or psychosis of their world is ending, so they're confused around like, why isn't this working anymore? And they've had to work most of their life. A lot of their lives have been very challenging and difficult and very treacherous. And especially me as a darker man relating to people that are darker in certain demographics and their experiences, a lot of those elders have never and won't ever until their transition, or what we call as death, a lot of them won't get that concept of that black and white living out of their mind. And this is not like pushing away as they did, like passive aggressively not approaching said problems or issues. And even if they did, a lot of people don't know, like they were attacked from that, or they were silenced from that. They were threatened. So I'm not at all not grateful for the ones who did step into their authenticity and with integrity, and departed from this world in such honor. I'm also elaborating on the ones who have also had difficult experiences. Again, going back to the traumas of the baby boomers, a lot of them, this is what a lot of you don't know about your mother